Ladies and gentlemen, the finals. They are here, and we are about to experience some rather wonderful stuff. Husky, are you up for this? I know you're exhausted from the pro play. Can you do it?
It is true. I still am feeling great about my performance there, and so hopefully my shoutcast can at least be of equal diamond level. I would guess. But either way, the FFA a ton of fun. But both these players now going to be warmed up after that. So spawning up in the top right side from Team Axiom, it is going to be Crank.
Versus his opponent down to the southwest position in the red trunks, also playing Terran, it is Ax.Ryung.
Indeed. So TotalBiscuit, I wasn't able to watch the FFA, but was there anything that I didn't get to see that was absolutely hilarious?
Well, kinda. There was the repeated Nidus swerve attacks in MMA that really didn't do an awful lot. There was the fact that they left you alone for about half the game. There was all sorts of crazy nonsense going on. It was ridiculous. Let's just call it that. Let's call it what it was. It was an insane FFA. It was actually a really good FFA, and it ended, which is what most FFAs don't seem to do. Like, the current trend with tournaments is let's do a HotS FFA, but it never ends. Everyone mines out and then sits around thinking, I don't want to lose this, and then goes and camps the watchtowers. So.
Yeah, I definitely, FFAs are all good and fun, but I do not envy them having to play 1v1 now, because the 1v1's like, you make one mistake and everyone knows about it. In the FFA, you make one mistake and no one probably even noticed. Right now, it does look like Ryung going to be going for the barracks as well as gas on the way here, so it's not going to be a one-racks expand, instead something revolving around getting that gas early.
Well, hopefully the mic stops crackling. XSplit is a horrible program, by the way, and I don't endorse it to anyone, just FYI, and is the reason behind all the problems. We had XSplit crash, we had all sorts of issues, and this is all XSplit related, but it seems like we've now managed to get it resolved, hopefully. Oh, God, it's so annoying. It's like, what's the point in having a really expensive audio interface, a really expensive microphone, and then a program that doesn't bloody work? Tell me that, Mike. Tell me.
I wish I could, TotalBiscuit. I'm still just amazed by your starboard. I feel like this has been working so much better than anything else. It's been working better than my computer, for example. So definitely, for those of you who may just be tuning in for the finals, like the stinkers that you are, I just gotta say, awesome work on the starboard there. And hopefully, are we gonna be seeing more of it?
Oh yeah. This is going to be released for everyone once we're finished with it. This is going to be open source. This is hopefully going to be alterable in any way you want. So, yeah, this is going to be the modified version of Starboard. It will be the ultimate version of Starboard for, of course, supporting esports. And, hey, it's a nice little lesson. You guys now know the sponsors of all of the players that we just had up there because you've been able to see them this entire time, even during an online tournament. So we call it Virtual Jersey for a reason. You get to see what all the sponsors are that are actually making these teams happen. And that may very well influence your purchase decisions in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, you think of other tournaments that show the players. Sometimes you can see the jerseys, sometimes you can't. But either way, at least their logos are blasted out there. So definitely mad props for that. We also have the factory going to be finishing up. Looks like the reactors, it's a second or two late. Usually they're going to be finishing right around the same time. Either way, could be Hellions, but most likely Widow Mines. I would assume you don't normally see Hellions versus Protoss. But the Zealot's going to move right up here. If his timing was a little bit better, he could have actually blocked that. But for now, it is actually going to be Hellions. TotalBiscuit, they trick me every single time when I think it's going to be Hellions or Widow Mines.
Is it Widow Mines?
So.
Is it Hellions? There's actually no way to know. That's a funny thing. I'm going to laugh at casters having to make this prediction over the next few months because they're not going to be able to do it. At least not until the build orders and the metagame stabilizes. All right, so we may be seeing the same one-base play, actually, out of CRANK to start with here that we saw up against Heart, I believe it was. Or was it MMA?
I think it was MMA.
Yeah,
he
MMA.
threw down the command center like a total boss, which unfortunately he still got punched in the face and died. But we do see the mothership core on the way, as we saw before. We do see Twilight and the 4 gates. So this is obviously a build that Crank has been practicing. Obviously something that he's familiar with. And I gotta say, Protoss players used to try stuff like this, but you had no way of getting up the ramp if it was completely walled in. Well, mothership core, hello.
Yeah, Mothership Core does allow you to do that. However, he is, of course, going to be taking some damage here. Nice little bit of micro to try and avoid that, but that was 4 workers killed, so that's definitely paid for itself with the Hellion harass, and he also knows about all of the gateways, he knows about Blink, he knows about everything. So, is Ryung going to fall for the same mistake that his opponent, that MMA did? Probably not. He's not building another command center. He is building a lot of Widow Mines, and he is, of course, building Marauders with Concussive Shell. So, I don't know how effective this is actually really going to be now that it's been scouted.
Yeah, and you got to remember that when Crank did this before, I mean, yeah, he won, but it wasn't a complete, sweep under the rug, not lose any units type victory. It was still a pretty close game, and now that we're seeing Widow Mines being utilized, we have the medevac there, we have the starport, of course. I'm going to be landing back up there on the high ground, but, he's got to be able to counterattack easily, which is going to delay the push substantially. You can see those Hellions moving out right now. And if he gets a single unit inside Crank's base, it's definitely going to throw off his timing here and make it very difficult to commit and make something happen.
Yep, and some damage was done there, but this may actually force a warp in at home. Of course, there's no forge, so these Hellions are going to be able to go to town. It's a well-constructed base, but there's still angles. Single Stalk comes in, and some damage is definitely going to be done here, and we're not seeing a blink up as of yet, because he just has to deal with this harass. Yet more damage is being done. Stalker's being forced back, and this, I feel, is the right counter to this particular maneuver here by Crank, and this is, we've got the CC coming down now. It appears Ryung is feeling confident enough to make that happen.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like Crank should probably just go ahead and try to expand here. I mean, he's not going to be able to blink up there. Even if he does, there's going to be slow, and he's got to be very, very careful with it. Yes, he can kill an add-on here or there, delay some of the upgrades, maybe like Stim or Combat Shields, but overall, this is not going to be a KO blow, I feel like. And if he warps in another wave of units, which he currently is working on, he has to warrant the warp in of this many units, so he has to do some sort of damage. Lifting the barracks, that's not going to be enough there, but he's got to watch out for these Widow Mines, because you can only activate your detection 1 or 2 times.
Indeed. Oh no, if the Mothership Core takes a big hit there from the Widow Mines, it doesn't die, but if the Mothership Core went down there, then that would have just been this aggression completely over. He's going to place another aggressive pylon here, and he has delayed the expansion for a great deal of time, and that's kind of the goal of this, really. You can win with it, but, delaying the expansion for long enough so that you can then expand behind this is pretty effective, too. Taking some damage from the Widow Mines there. Got to be a little bit careful. Nice blink micro already. And he's just getting his Mothership Core back into play. There is, however, a Viking now, so it's going to be poking away at that Mothership Core, and if it takes that down, then, of course, we will be seeing some nastiness coming in there, and there is a kill on the Viking, actually. A couple of SCVs killed as well. This aggression is actually going pretty well. Shutting down that Tech Lab is more important than you might think, because it delayed Stim, and it meant that there's less Marauders on the field right now. He had to rebuild there. That was 25 seconds of not building anything else, and this aggression's going pretty well here for Crank, but the question is, can he do enough damage to make it worthwhile?
Does look like the Mothership Core may get taken out here. Does he decide to mass recall away? No, he just pulls the Mothership Core itself back. There are still the 2 Widow Mines on the high ground. Remember, a Widow Mine will one-shot a Stalker, which is extremely cost-effective. The Viking getting taken out is a big deal. Only 17 HP remains, and actually manages to breach the entrance here. I'm honestly completely blown away that it has done this much damage. He can still be warping in reinforcements here. Does he decide to expand, or exactly how is this going to play out? I mean, right now he has enough Stalkers to actually keep this contain alive, and as long as he doesn't get hit by those Widow Mines, he's going to be okay. The Observer here to spot it. Remember, Widow Mines no longer hit Observers and does kill off one, and needs to be careful here.
Oh, scan goes down, and he picks off the Observer there. The other Widow Mine, I think, did die, though, and nice blink micro once again. Now, bear in mind, of course, that his opponent does have an SCV lead, but can't mine with it, so that's not actually helping at the moment. Eats another Widow Mine, not what he wanted, certainly, but this engagement continues to be pretty good here for Crank. The problem is if he takes one bad fight, especially if he gets hit by Widow Mines, nicely taken out before that happens. A great blink micro coming out right here from Crank, but I don't know. I mean, this engagement arc isn't all that good for him. He looks like he might still have enough Stalkers to make this work, but he's now being pushed back off the ramp.
Yeah, and also one thing, during that battle, he was actually blinking to the low ground, which while it was making the Stalkers 100% safe, it was making them do 100% nothing. They had to walk back up that ramp. Overall, things are shaking out relatively evenly. I mean, units lost almost tied there. Worker count, though, not very good for Crank because he's been on these 22 probes the entire time. It does make for quite an interesting game, though, because neither player has been able to expand, and we are 12 minutes into a game right now. So Crank's aggression balancing it out, but he still has to watch out for those Widow Mines. That's why he's bringing down yet another Observer. Knows how he's being a little bit more timid with it, but he just needs to make sure to control perfectly, but that's a lot of Marauders.
Yeah, there might actually be enough Marauders to make this not work anymore. With 6 Marauders, yeah, this is not a good engagement here to take, but good blink micro once again, getting the most out of these Stalkers as much as possible, but it's not breaking it anymore. I mean, there's SCVs being killed, but those SCVs weren't actually doing anything anyway. And as soon as this expansion ends up coming down, if it does, and missed micro there by Ryung to lose a medevac, as soon as the expansion comes down, I feel like it's going to put Crank so far behind. But he's continuing to work on this, taking out the Widow Mines really, really effectively and continuing to contain Ryung. And this has been the longest one-base play I've seen in ages.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen this probably since the original beta, to be quite frank. Usually you don't see it go on this long and this evenly. Units lost, still going to be favoring Ryung here, though, and that's a lot of units that got stim and run down the ramp. He has to blink and run away.
Oh, he's getting out. That's it.
Accidentally attacks the rocks there a couple of times, which is going to cost one Stalker its life. Blink is off cooldown, but there's the stim and the chase on out of there. And remember, there's no backup plan here at all. No expansion. I mean, he's getting mined out almost in his main base. This is not looking good for Crank.
No, it is not. And he actually has no... Oh, now actually he does have a way of seeing up there. And Combat Shield is going to get cancelled. A nice little bit of harass. He might even catch the medevac out as well, but he is getting hit by concussive shells all over the place. Oh, no. This is disastrous. Mules are down. Oh, and GG. Ryung takes the first game. There it is.
Game one for Ryung. And I got to say, Crank, you know, that was impressive. Like, he was actually able to do quite a bit of damage. But, you know, the slight misclick there while he was retreating, then he tried to blink into the main base and wasn't able to do the damage. And you could tell with that build, he was as all in as it gets. There was never a backup plan at all. And overall, I just want to take a look at the graph super quickly. You can see that he was actually, as far as the army value is concerned, was way ahead for a while. But unfortunately was not able to utilize that. And you can see exactly where the two mishaps happened. And unfortunately didn't have enough. So I'm kind of curious to see if Crank's going to do that again. Most likely not, or what his playstyle is going to be for the next game.
It was a good move, honestly, to try and take that first map via using that build that worked for him in the past, but Ryung held that pretty damn well considering. Crank's aggression was excellent, but it wasn't quite enough. If he'd been able to continue to pick off that tech lab, I feel that would have probably done the trick, because that would have meant... and it would have meant no more Marauders. And once you get about 7 Marauders with Stim and Medivacs, you can kill so many Stalkers, it's just not even funny.
Indeed. So a relatively interesting game number 1, which means, well, game number 2 is going to be right around the corner. Remember, this is a best of 5. We're so over round robin at this point, and the winner is going to get $600.
Yes, they are. We'll be back very shortly, folks, for the next map. Please do not go anywhere. More action coming to you from House of the Swarm.